60 knots.
Check.
V1. Rotate.
Are the mics on?
The mics are on.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 9 of the Blue Skies podcast. We are your hosts, Trisha and Aryan, and today we're joined with Brian Laski. He is an instructor at Seneca College, but I'll have him introduce himself. We're excited to have you, Brian, because not only are you a great mentor to us, but a great friend. So we're excited to learn a little more about your life in this industry. Can you introduce yourself and just walk us through your aviation background?
Sure. Fell in love with flying probably when I was about 8 or 9. Decided that's what I wanted to do. Been making plastic models of airplanes since then. And when I was 15, I went down to visit my grandparents in Florida and got up front on a DC-8. The whole thing just amazed me. And knew that I wanted to fly from that point on. A year of university, waste of time for me. Went out and just started flying. Flew at Buttonville. That was 1974 I started there. I was there from 1974 to 1994. All my licenses, private, commercial, multi-IFR. Instructed there for many years. And charter department, I got to fly the MU2 that we have. I got to fly a lot of Aztec time. At one point, I was the only one doing multi-IFR in the Aztec. They only had one instructor to do it. That was me. Navajos, King Airs, Citation. They started an airline, Beach 99. I've got about 3,000 hours in those. From there, I left and worked for an electrical company flying a Cheyenne 3 for a little while. Then a friend of mine was leaving Air Canada in the training department and gave him my name. And they called me and I went in and did an interview. Had to teach a little 5-minute thing and got that job and taught at Air Canada. I did all their initial new hires, about 300 of them, for about 2.5 years. Then they stopped hiring and they put me on teaching the 767 for about 7 minutes and then put me on the Airbus. And I taught ground school on the Airbus, again, making nice. The chief instructor for the Airbus decided he wanted all the ground school instructors to do the full flight simulator training, just so that they could prepare all the students for what was coming up. So I did that and got to the end of it, and my instructor says, "You got an ATPL. Why don't you ask if you can get a rating on it?" So I went into the head of training and asked him if they'd give me the sim. And they said, "Yeah, you pay for the ride and do it." So I got an Airbus endorsement, which through another friend, I didn't even apply to Sky Service. Someone gave them my name. They called me. They knew I had a Airbus endorsement. And that was a story that I told for the interview. I walked in and the guy who interviewed me, I had sent solo 21 years earlier. My entire interview was him telling the person from HR what a great experience he had. So I'm back to don't burn bridges in aviation. Started at Sky Service, flying the Airbus for Roots Air, the shortest lived airline in aviation history, 5 weeks.
Roots Air.
Roots Air. Very famous. The company Roots, the clothing company, started their own airline.
Oh, that's them. The clothing company. Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. 5 weeks, $33 million they lost. And I got laid off. I did one Vancouver turn. And that was my very first flight in the Airbus. And talk about helmet fire. Holy smokes. You just reminded me on that flight of the Vancouver. And again, I had no idea what was going on. The captain said, "I need a break." And before 9/11, got up and left the flight deck. I was sitting there in the right seat, and I had no clue of what was going on. That left a mark. And then they closed Roots Air, and I got laid off for 2 days because then Canada 3000 went out of business. And Sky Service picked up all their flying and a whole bunch of their airplanes. Back to work there, and I was there for 10 years until I put them out of business. And then applied here, and I've been here for 15 years,
Here as in Seneca College.
as in Seneca College.
So all of these jobs, these experiences, what are you at for our viewers or listeners? How many flight hours are you at now?
A little over 22,000 hours. I almost said I've stopped keeping a logbook, but I think that's illegal. So I've got a very accurate logbook. Actually, I've got an electric logbook through Seneca. So I've got there. It's over 22,000 hours now.
It's incredible for students like us sitting on one end of the table with maybe 5% of what you have.
Well, it's incredible to me, too, because I did some math. That's 3.5 years off the planet in the air. That's a long time.
That is. You spent 3.5 years of your life
Flying in the air. That's a lot. It's a lot of time. I know it's a lot of time.
Well, we're excited to hear about the stories because you must have a lot. Yeah.
If someone has, I've been around long enough, if they've flown for half an hour, they got a story. If they've flown for 50 hours, they got stories. If they've flown for 22,000 hours, they got a lot of stories.
They do. So you mentioned your first experience at the DC-12, and that's where you found your love for aviation. Did you have anybody in your family that was in aviation?
Nope.
So you're the first one.
Yeah, I had a psychologist, my mother. I had my dad, who was an engineer and got into the jewelry business. And my brother, lawyer, and my sister in the film business. But nobody before that, nobody in the family had an aviation background at all. None.
What was that like going into it? Did you have your familial support? Was it ever discouraging because you didn't have any family mentors in this industry?
Not at all. Not at all. The only thing I needed, money, as I'm sure you can relate. Money. That's all I needed. When I got to Toronto Airways, that was the only thing that dictated how much flying I did.
Out of all these experiences that you did, what kind of stood out to you the most throughout your flying career? Something that you maybe even would want to go back to if you still could?
I loved flying the Airbus. I really did.
Even though your first experience was helmet fire?
Oh yeah. Well, I got a lot better with it. That was my very first time in the actual airplane. And experience weighs on you when all those people are in the back and you're the only one. If something goes wrong at this moment, you're it. And I was perfectly comfortable with it, maybe a year or so later in the Airbus, where I don't care whether they're here or not. I don't care whether anybody's with me. I can fly. I know I can fix this. But the Airbus, your first experience with it, there's nothing intuitive about it. Actually, a lot of it doesn't even relate to flying, believe it or not. It's all computer related. They have to put fake feeling in the stick to give you the same feeling that you would have when you landed an airplane. So it took a little while to get used to it, but I loved flying the Airbus.
Were you not ever intimidated by the fact that you have so many passengers in the back and now you're flying this beast of an aircraft?
No, just that one time when he walked out and I looked around, pitch dark. It was a Vancouver turn, so it was in the middle of the night. I looked around and I was it.
Do you think that that's because you came into that company before flying the Airbus with so much flight experience that you had the confidence flying an Airbus? My question being specifically for those flight students that might go from training right into an airline and flying passengers and a bigger bird.
No, not so much, because I've been teaching on it for almost 2.5 years. So I understood how it worked. It's just that the difference between a simulator and the airplane. So I'm sure you can relate to that. I know you know what that looks like, knowing that you can't get in any trouble in the simulator, but
in the plane you can.
Yeah, well, you can. Fortunately, I ran into a career where I never did, bird strikes and things like that, but nothing serious.
For a lot of recently graduated pilots or commercial pilots, their two main options now are either flying up north or instructing. Back when you kind of had your options and were considering what to do, what made you go towards instructing?
I had no choice. Air Canada was not hiring back then. Oh man, we used to sit around the coffee shop and all we talked about was, well, they're going to hire. Oh, when are they going to hire? Oh, I heard they're hiring. That's all we talked about. But they weren't. They just weren't hiring at all. So you really didn't have that much of an option. You could go up north, which really didn't appeal to me. My mother was a teacher, and instructing, I don't know why, I discovered much later in my career, I discovered it's the only thing that I had talent for, was to teach. I'm not the greatest pilot in the whole world. I had so many students that I know I'm a mechanical pilot. You know what this is? You try it, I don't get it. You try it, I don't get it. You try it, oh wait, I got it. Oh, no, I don't. You try it, oh wait, I do have it now, and you've got it. Landing the twin, you know, you come in, you flare, things don't go well, but you finally get that picture in your head. I was talking to somebody about it the other day. I still, at this stage, 51 years flying, I don't know where I look when I land. I don't. I couldn't tell you where I'm looking, but I'm looking in the right spot. So teaching was the only thing that I ever had any talent for. Being able to explain to somebody, I just thought, my brother, the lawyer, if you didn't understand something, he would explain it to you the exact same way, except louder. I'm not that. I have a knack for explaining something to somebody. They don't get it. What do you do for a living? You sell cars. Okay. And try in some way bend it to relate it to something that they can relate to. And so I have a knack for that. Got my instructor's rating in, I think, 78 or 79, and never let it lapse. All my time at the airline, all my time at Toronto Airways, all my time at Sky Service. Fortunately, with a Class 1, it's every 4 years, so it's not like every year I had to go back for a ride. I'd book it, get myself an airplane, and do my ride, and never let it lapse, ever. It was important to me.
You're pretty good at speaking, you know, with energy and enthusiasm. Were you always like this, or does this kind of develop as you became an instructor? Were you always like an introvert? Or
I was. I got it from my mother. She was the entertainer. People loved hanging around her, loved being around her. Not my dad. My dad was not that way, but my mother, she was outgoing. One of the things I got from her, luckily.
So you've instructed for a very long time, like you mentioned, you never let it lapse. How has your understanding of what it means to be an instructor changed from your first student to your students now?
Back then, I had to have a little book to tell me what I was supposed to say and the order that I was supposed to do it. Now, I can fly with somebody, see where they're not getting it very easily, see the parts that they're not getting. The parts that they get, I don't pay any attention to at all. The parts that they don't get, I'm there. And I have the ability now, just through the experience of doing it, of figuring out what they need and focusing on that. I go out, if they you know, first-hand experience with this, we go out, we do something, you don't like it, let's do it again. The other thing I enjoy about it is that telling a student that their opinion doesn't matter. In other words, they'll go and do a steep turn, and they'll say, oh, that was crappy. I want to do it again. I'll go, no, it was fine. Your opinion doesn't count at this stage. We're moving on, because I know that they've got it. I can see that they've got it.
How has, now not your experience, but more of generally how becoming an instructor or being an instructor changed? Have you noticed a difference in what it was like to instruct back then versus now, or has it generally remained the same?
Back then, some people were doing this as a career because their airlines just weren't hiring. You know, at one point back then, they were laying off people, like Air Canada. And so I was instructed by several people who were doing this for forever. And boy, did it pay crap back then. Seneca spoils people a lot because if you don't fly, you still get paid. In most flying schools, you don't fly, you don't make any money. And so it was a career back then. Now it's a way to build hours and get into an airline. They're hiring. There's such a pilot shortage. And we talked about it back in the 70s too. Oh, there's a pilot shortage coming. And we were absolutely right. 45 years later, it happened. And who knows where it's going, really. And now it's just sort of a gateway to get into the airlines. Either that or go up north and get flying. But it's building hours and making money. So I think that's the major difference.
Yeah, I guess the biggest point with that is you still hope to get high quality instructors teaching the students, and you know, not just using it as a means of leaving right away, but hopefully to make some sort of lasting impact on their students.
Yeah, and and I've seen a lot of fantastic instructors, and I've seen a lot of really crap instructors. Irritates me. just really irritates me. It should be fun, absolutely should be fun. And I don't know whether brand new Class 4 instructors have the ability to do that. I did, because I just loved it. I just loved doing it. I loved seeing the people's face, either the panic on their face the very first time they come in to land an airplane and they successfully do it, or getting out in the twin. They go from the 172. We used to have the Bonanzas, but now they go right from the 172, right, everything doubles. All the speeds double, everything, the weight doubles, everything. And just getting them out and getting it in cruise and just seeing the look on their face. I love that. I really enjoy that. And being able to pass it on. And I think I'm making a contribution. I think I'm turning out better pilots.
So how do you cope with the different personalities you come across as an instructor? You might be one day flying with someone who's very timid and shy, and then the next day flying with a student that's overconfident and thinks they know everything. What's that like?
You have to learn how to deal with that. You have to learn how to, this is, again, coming from the civilian side. Seneca, I fly with somebody and I fly with somebody the next day I don't like. I'm not going to fly with them again. So what do I care? I've gone through that with Kathy. Kathy, my wife, is an in-charge flight attendant, a service director at Air Canada. And she'll come home and she'll say, I worked with somebody and they were horrible, like didn't do a thing. And, I went back and they were sleeping I said, did you write them up? No, I'm only going to fly with them once, over all the time she's been flying. I'm not going to see them again. So rather than go through all the hassle with the paperwork and writing somebody up and the managers and she just says, let it go. I think if they're rotating the students, I think they are now. I've flown with people who I don't like. Yeah, do your job. You just do your job and train them. The difference is if I've had students show up when I was doing this privately, and did you get a chance to read the exercise? No, the kids were sick. Okay, well, did you get a chance to look over the stuff? No, I didn't do anything. Okay, let's go. Because we don't fly. I don't get paid. I know that you've rearranged your whole life to be here for right now. The weather's good. The instructor's guide would say, well, let's sit down and do some more ground time. But you're not. You're going flying. Seneca, someone shows up and they're not prepared. There's a little check mark in a box so you can go, not prepared. So I think that makes a difference too. I think that there's instructors, and I don't know why, look to fail people. I know that there are people like that. I don't think that there's a lot of them. You can help them succeed. You really can. That's your job. The drills and stuff like that, if they don't have that, that's their problem. I'll send them away and I'll say, review this. But the proper latitude for ending the airplane, the proper way to stall it and recover it, my job. So
it's funny you say that because earlier you mentioned that you did the interview and that was your student 21 years ago at that company. So you really don't know how small this industry is and you don't want to burn bridges.
Oh, it's incredibly small. Do you know Hank Norris? No, I don't know the guy. We flew together at Toronto Airways. I don't know the guy. You actually did a ride. I don't know the guy. He landed the airplane gear up and, oh yeah, I know that guy. So that's what this is. They know you by that. They know you by, if you're on a jerk. Oh boy, that gets around. That really gets around. And I think it applies with everything, but certainly in a job interview, if you can have someone talk to the guy who's doing the interview and say, golden. They don't want to hire a whiner. I might have mentioned to you, what you're shooting for with any job is that Brian Laski's retiring. Who? Brian Laski, first officer. I don't know this guy. That's what you want the chief pilot to say. You don't want anybody to know your name for maybe for good reasons, but I don't think you want anybody to know your name for any reason. And that's the industry. You've got to have somebody call or write to somebody in the company, and this is fine. They can't tell in an interview whether they're hiring a jerk, and we all know that Air Canada people have the list of questions that they're going to ask, what they want to hear, the amount of hours that they want to have. Have you ever had an experience in an emergency? Well, oh, let me think. And they've got it all planned out. They know exactly what they're going to answer. You can't tell from an interview what kind of person you're going to get. You can't. So making sure that there are people who are willing to reach out to somebody and say, you'll be safe hiring this person. They can fly. They're nice. They're going to get along. They're going to do the job. If you give them something to do that they don't want to do, they'll do it, and then they'll come back and talk to you about it after, as opposed to not. So,
Your reputation seems incredibly important in this industry specifically.
Well, you've taught a lot of students. Any stories for us? Any scary moments with your students? Any memorable ones?
a couple of them. One that made nothing, no good, horrible things going on. I've been very lucky, with engine failures and things like that. Nothing that was not retrievable. One that made a mark on me was we went to stall the airplane, and again, stalling the 172, just at the point where it's about to stall, you give it a little jerk back, and the airplane will stall. The 172 doesn't like to stall. It doesn't like to spin. It doesn't like any of those. The Baron, on the other hand, does. And so I had explained it to him. I had told him what I wanted to do. And just at the point it stalled, he jerked the stick back like to his chest. And the airplane stood up on its tail and fell over inverted like this. We were at 5,500 feet. And it scared me. I grabbed the control. I said, I have control, and ended up rolling the airplane level. And it was making so much noise. Yeah, just going down like that. At that point, 20,000 hours at that point, I had my hands on the throttle and I had them back. And I remember saying in my brain, you pull these back to close the throttles, right? And looked over and went, yeah, that's right. And it was just making so much noise. Glanced at the airspeed indicator, and it didn't go into the red, but it was very close. And then had to pull out of the dive. And the hardest thing about the whole thing was making sure that he knew that he didn't frighten me. He scared the crap out of me, like really, really scared me. I said, okay, let's go up and do another one. I took him up.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We lost about 2,500 feet. Over Lake Simcoe, looking out and seeing only water coming out of that caught me. But the only thing that scared me was the noise, and thinking, these are closed, right? You've got them so much noise. Anyway, leveled out and going back up and did another one. I explained to him it has affected me flying the Baron from that point on. It's the only thing that I get excited about, because they're going to do what they've been trained to do. And at the last second, they all want to give that little pull, and I make sure that they don't. And I probably get a little excited when I'm explaining to them, here's what I want, and very clear about it. And I have my hand on the control column so they won't. It scared me.
So when it actually inverted, did you have to break the stall first by pitching forward, or you just ruled that thing out and that's it?
When it came down, it was flying. It fell over this way and started to fly right away, because when I grabbed it, I rolled it, and I won't tell you who did it. And I rolled it level, and it rolled level right away, so it was obviously flying. It didn't spin, but it did encourage me to go back and Google spinning a Baron 58, and got a lot of information after the fact where it said, do not do this. Don't do it. And so that particular... It absolutely affected the way I teach on this airplane, teach stalls. I won't go out and do them with a minimum altitude. I want 5,500 feet before I did it. Has it happened since? Someone fell off to the side. Everything that happens, it's experience. That's what this aviation thing is. The first astronauts were monkeys. You can teach someone how to pull a lever and how to do something. It's the experience. It scared me to the point where it has not happened to me since. I won't let anybody do it, because the briefing is very thorough. The exercise is very thorough. I'm right on top of it. I watch it all the time.
So what made you want to keep going with that flight if it scared you that much? Why not come back home and file a report and be done with it?
I really didn't think about it that much at the point. Well, I guess 2 points. I survived. I didn't crash the airplane. So that... but no, he did it wrong, and he has to know how to do it. It never occurred to me to come home. That never crossed my mind. The first thing that after I got control of the airplane, we leveled out of the dive, brought the power back up and went back to cruise. I said, okay, you have control. Let's go up and do another one. I don't remember even thinking about it. I was a little closer to the controls, but he did it the second time. No, I've been very, very fortunate where I haven't had any major emergencies, nothing crazy. We had, I was out with 2 students in pin, and the gear didn't come down at all, nothing. Put the lever down and got no lights at all. No, you get a red light that says that the gear, it's in transit, and then they come, nothing. We got nothing. And that was fun because I got to turn to both of them. One was in the back and one was sitting beside. What do you want to do? And got to go through the entire scenario. What an incredible learning experience. We were in the circuit. I was doing full-field circuits. You know what a full-field circuit is?
Where you go in the full upwind as well as the downwind, you're not actually descending?
No one's ascending here. So in other words, when you turn final, you stay at altitude. So we were doing that and we're cycling it. And then I got on, I said, so now what? And they said, well, gear up landing. I went, no. We've got resources here. Let's call maintenance. So just managed to go through the whole thing, got to the end of it, and we had to crank the gear down. And again, using CRM. Should I have had the guy in the left seat crank this down? Probably, just to give him an example of if he's by himself. But he's never going to be by himself in this airplane. He might be by himself in something else. So at the end of it, I said, can we think of anything else that we might have to do? Anything that we got the gear down and anything. And I suggested, okay, well, do we need fire truck, anything like that here? And we had a discussion about that. And in the Baron, if the lights are on, it's down and locked. There's no point in flying over the airport and all that stuff. But that was a really fun thing to run them through an entire emergency. I learned something. We ended up going up higher, 1,000 feet above circuit altitude. I didn't want to go 500 feet while we were cranking the gear down because people are coming over, hit the field at 500 feet. So I went 1,000 feet above circuit altitude, flew around, got it. And then we were in the turning base to downwind. And I went, oh crap, where am I going to descend? I don't want to go out of the circuit and come. So I just said, called a pan. Everybody disappears and came in and landed. The only way I could have done it is gone north of the field, descended out there and come across at circuit altitude. I wanted to get the airplane on the ground at that point. The fuel was fine. We were all fine with everything, but it was a really excellent experience. But other than that, emergencies, bird strikes and things like that I've had, don't affect anything.
Well, it's always reassuring when your instructor thinks that an emergency is an excellent learning experience. It tells you that you've got the confidence to make every experience fun. And I think that that's what every instructor should aspire to become.
I'm trying to pass that along right now to 2 students that I currently have. It should be a fun experience. It should be has to be an enjoyable experience. I love flying. I just love it. And I want other people to love it too. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn in aviation is if you screw something up in a flight test or a ride or anything like that, and it's not easy. Put it behind you and continue on. If you're one of these people who beat yourself up for making mistakes, oh, why did I do that? And you're continuing flying, you're in trouble. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do at all to just say, okay, understanding the logistics of it, or at least yes. If you go out and you screw something up really badly and they end the lesson, that's it. Then you can start to beat yourself up with it. I'd wait till I was on the ground. But in the simulator for a ride, until they say, that's it, and they press the button and the simulator comes down, you're still plugging away. You're still fighting. And it's a very hard lesson to screw something up on a ride and put it behind you and go hard. You'll see. You'll see. I've got it. I've got it now, but it took a long time to get there.
So as someone who's instructed a large variety of students, young students, old students, airline pilots, what are some key habits or traits that you try to instill within these students to make them better pilots for tomorrow?
I know I'm sounding like a broken record. It's got to be fun. I mean, there's a mark, unprepared. And so they have to show up and they have to do their part. They have to do the studying. They have to do all of that. But even with that, they've got to be relaxed. The reason I asked you about why you flew, the number one answer, it's something I've always wanted to do. That's what I hear in the general aviation. It's something I talk to them very seriously about it because some of them just need the challenge. After you've got your license, and you're not pursuing this for a career, after you've got your license and you've taken everybody you know and love flying, and the people you don't love flying, now what do? Now you have to fly the airplane unless you own one. And even at that, the insurance company is going to say you have to fly it every 30 days. So what are you going to do with it? And then eventually you'll just it'll just wander out where you don't fly anymore. So I want to know why they're doing it. I want to know what their end game is. Career-wise is always fun because now you can train them not to just be a private pilot. You can start to throw stuff in that they're going to need when they're flying commercially. You can start to throw stuff in that they're going to need when they're flying IFR. You can add all of that in. So, again, it comes down to my job is to motivate them, to make sure if they have a passion for it, there's not much motivation required here. I've flown with astronauts. I've flown with actors, as you know, and these astronauts are a different breed. They really are. I flew with one and put him in the left seat of the Navajo. He had never flown before, and he would never turn on. Okay, stay close, watch me. Nothing. He just did it. Just did it. And then I've flown with people who are you sure? Yeah, take control. You have control. No, I don't, no, not right now. Trust me, you can do it. So really, the entire gambit. And they're all fun. They're all fun.
What are some of the big wigs that you've flown? Just to show our listeners how much of a celebrity we're sitting beside right now. You let them know who you've taught.
Well, I the band Rush, I taught Alex Lifeson how to fly, and I flew them around on occasion, and that was absolutely fun. And Alex and I are still friends today. Dave Williams, the Canadian astronaut, I did some flying with him, still friends to this day. Someone I'm not friends to this day with, I taught Tom Cruise how to fly back in 1994. Nicole Kidman, his wife at the time, they were up here she was doing a movie. It's a very long story, but I ended up getting hooked up with him to fly. And that was fun. It was, really fun.
And you taught him his PPO, like his preliminary?
PPO. And he was up here and we would go out flying. And then after he got his license, he ended up doing his flight test in the States. He was going to do it in Canada, and I talked him out of that. There was just no point. And so he got his license in the States, as everyone does. His wife bought him, as a graduation gift, a Pitt Special. Do you know what a Pitt Special is? It's a bi-wing, open cockpit, aerobatic airplane. Look it up. And she bought him that as a graduation gift and was going to bring it to Toronto so he could fly it back to California. So I've got the assistant calling. I very rarely made any of the arrangements with him directly. It was all assistants. And I said, no, you're not doing this. So anyway, they ended up leaving it in California, and he did that. Oh, actually, we were in here at one point. Came in and did some touch and goes here. Anyway, it was very fun to fly with and really enjoyable. And I've had a little bit of contact with him on occasion through there, but nothing, absolutely nothing.
So you're the reason why Top Gun was made, basically.
No, Top Gun, and I asked him. Top Gun was made before he flew with me.
The second Top Gun. We'll say the second Top Gun then. That's got your name written all over it. They should have put you in the end credits scene. I should have got some of the Top Gun money from it. Yeah. 94. That was 30 years. And I can't believe you didn't mention me. I'm sure the attitudes and movements you taught him is a reason why.
The other interesting part of that is that he went down to Cape Canaveral, visiting NASA down there, and Dave Williams was going to take him for a tour. And so they put Tom, and he was dating Penelope Cruz at the time, in Dave's office to wait for him. And Tom saw his logbook on Tom. First name David. Tom saw his logbook on his desk and was flipping through it and saw my name. And Dave came in and he said, we have something in common. And they chatted about that a little bit. And then that night I got a phone call from Dave saying, oh, I have a hello for you from Tom Cruise. He was in my office today, blah, blah. So here's a Canadian astronaut calling me to leave. I get goosebumps now, calling me to leave a message that Tom Cruise said hello to me. I kept that message. I recorded that at that point. We got along very well because I didn't ask him for any autographs. I didn't tell the press that I was flying. It was all very secret on the other side of Buttonville so that nobody saw it, because if the word got out, it'd be absolutely crazy there. So he appreciated that, the fact that just another student.
What was your favorite lesson to teach?
Oh, well, in the twin, it's all of them. The landings, I think any kind of landing it's the hardest thing to learn, because they've got to come up. I mentioned at the beginning, I still don't know where I look when I land. I'm not looking at it. I'm looking out. I couldn't tell you. And so to be able to impart, this is not something that people do normally, to be able to impart that ability to someone, that's still a big thrill for me. I still get a kick out of when they come in and do a really nice landing. Two things happen at that stage. Number one, I will not be landing the airplane because it won't look as nice. And I'm not kidding, I get a thrill from it when they do a really nice landing. And I'll say the same things all the time. Hey, that was really nice. I might throw the F word in there on occasion. That was really nice, and don't let it go to your head. And off we go. I still get a big kick out of that. I do. Landing an airplane, that's the hard part.
It must be such a rewarding feeling every time you teach something new to any student of yours, especially something as hard as landing an airplane.
No, the rewarding part is when they get it. Teaching it to them is teaching it to them. When you actually see them get it, and then you don't really have to think about it. I take nothing for granted, because you never know what they're going to do. And it's happened to me twice, where coming back with a pilot in the Navajo, we did a charter somewhere, and at that point I had a whole bunch of twin time. I put these guys in the left seat and let them log the time as much as I could, because I know they needed the twin time. And we were coming to land, and the weather in Buttonville was fantastic, and I'm doing paperwork, and I've got my seat back, and I'm in the right seat and just scribbling away. And then all of a sudden we hear Buttonville start to call the visibility coming down. We're looking at each other, what the hell's going on here? Do a localizer into Buttonville, and it's right down to minimums. And we break out, and we look up, and I saw a runway on my side. He didn't see it. And I said, do you have the runway? And he said, no. I said, I have control. I took control and turned, and just as I turned, I reached out, and I couldn't reach the rudder pedals because I had my seat back. And so I banked the airplane, got it straight down. I said, you see it now? He said, yeah. I said, you have control. And then burst out laughing, because I knew that this was the very last time that I was going to land an airplane and not have my seat up, not touch the rudder pedals, not reach the control column. It was the very last time that was going to happen. The other time I got bitten is I walked in, and there was a commercial pilot just getting his license back, and said, he's got a cross country to do. We go with him. And I said, he's ready to start it. I ran out, hopped in the airplane, didn't look at his paperwork, nothing. We're on our way up to, I think it was even Muskoka at that point. I look down and I see there's like almost no gas in the airplane. How much gas? The guy told me before that he only put about 2 hours out of it. Did you check it? Not so. And that was the last time I ever went out in an airplane and didn't. I don't care who you are. I must admit, when I go with Air Canada right now, I don't walk up front and say, how much gas is it? I kind of trust them, but if I'm sitting in the right seat, I checked.
It's like a trial by fire right now. Like, something happens and you just never forget it.
Well, fortunately, they were not major things with that, but that was kind of funny at that point when I reached out and couldn't reach them.
Yeah. Well, earlier you introduced Kathy, your wife. You mentioned that she's with Air Canada as in service director. How long have you been together?
27 years we've been together. She's amazing. She's absolutely probably the most amazing person I've ever met my whole life. She's just positive and incredible at her job. She just, she's doing it 47 years now. with Air Canada. And she's just incredible at it. So calm and so relaxed with it, and there's, 350 people that all could potentially make your life hell. And, there's, to get 350 people on an airplane, there's going to be somebody complaining about something. No, she's just fantastic. Still working. Heard that the last person in her class just retired. So she's alone. She's the last class out of 1979, still working, and has no intention of retiring. She loves it. She can still do it. And it works so well, and it makes it easy because both in the industry, I understand her schedule. She called me a few weeks ago. The airplane broke, so she got stuck in Dubai for another 2 days.
Something that you understand.
For anybody that is not aware of how flight attendant career path works, is there, similar to pilots, an age that you must retire by?
No, number 1 and number 2, I think, at Air Canada. Kathy's number 75 out of 7,000. Number 1 and number 2 are in their mid-70s. So, no.
So what's the secret to both of you being in the industry, both being so busy, I assume, at times, with you still working, or maybe a few years back when you were with the airlines, and her still continuing on? How did you make that work with your relationship?
It was no effort at all, and there's a couple of good reasons. She can look after herself. I can look after myself. We don't need each other. We want to be with each other. No children, which I don't regret at all. When we first got together 27 years ago, we sort of talked about it. But I had a very good friend of mine who said, unless you get up every single day and you think, I need to have a kid. I need to, don't do it. And I heeded that advice. So the fact, I think it would be trouble if somebody goes away for, at Sky Service, I would go away for 3 weeks. I'd be in Paris for 3 weeks and then turn around and come back. We were based there. We had airplanes over there. I think if you had kids and everything and somebody had to carry that whole weight for 3 weeks by themselves, I think by the time you showed up home, I had the most incredible dinner in Paris. Well, yeah, I was cleaning up vomit from 3 children who got sick. I think that would have a little bit of a different balance. So for us, it's she's incredible. That's the first thing. And the other thing is it's just, I was going to say mutual respect for what's good, but we understand what goes on. We just know. We know how aviation works. And with us, I can't speak for anybody else. There's no dependence. There's no, I was carrying all the weight when you were gone, and now I was carrying the weight when you were, there's none of that, fortunately. So it's much easier for us to make it work, really easy.
So kind of rounding it back to the instructor part of your career, what advice would you give to new instructors starting out in the field about how to go about with this career?
I know I'm, again, sounding like a broken record. Make it fun. Don't, new or old, don't hold students to a standard that you yourself cannot meet. I bumped into too many guys, especially in the airlines, who gripe at you for messing something up that you know very well that if they were doing it, they'd make the same mistakes. So don't expect more from your students than you can do. Even experienced instructors, it's hard to make it new and fresh for them too. I never lost track. I can close my eyes right now and picture my very first lesson with Al Moss in 1974, sitting there in the 150 doing a run-up and being so petrified with these magnetos, because I remember from ground school, you can really mess up the muffler. I can see it right now. So you understand that you're making an impression on somebody. You really are. It might be a Thursday for you, but it's their first lesson, and it's going to leave a mark. It absolutely is, and never forgetting that. I think with a career instructor, it's hard to remember that, to remember what it was like for you when you first got into it. Who doesn't remember their first solo? Who doesn't remember the guy who sent you solo or the girl who sent you solo? It's with you forever. And boy, oh boy, I had an instructor, John Skeen. I'm sure he's long gone now. This guy was the oracle for me. Like, just stuff that he gave me, and this is back in the 70s, I still use today. So you're making an impression.
How do you still keep things new and fresh?
easy for me. I'm not doing much ab initio stuff now, though I would kind of like to. I think I'd enjoy that since I haven't done very much of it in probably the last, 10, 15 years since I got here. They got me teaching multi. Multi is difficult only because insurance company. I think I've mentioned this to you. Transport Canada doesn't run the industry. The insurance company runs the industry. Transport Canada, you can go 5 years and not fly an airplane. The insurance company, every 30 days, generally, they want you flying the airplane. So they need somebody with over 300 hours of multi-time. I think I got that last month. I'm joking. But certainly, I've got enough multi-time. And what keeps it fresh for me is the very first time they put their hand on those throttles, and they're used to 150 horsepower. What's in the 172?
Yeah, I would say less even.
Somewhere around there, and they kick in 600 horsepower when they push those throttles. And just the noise and the fact that it yaws off and just keeping it straight and looking at their faces is just that's the thrill for me. And having them come in and land it for the first time after that. And just getting it to do what they want. It's an advanced airplane. They've never flown in like this before. And to be able to introduce it to them and have them enjoy it, huge thrill for me. Even now. The only part that I don't like about the aviation career right now is driving from Toronto to Peterborough. That's the only thing that's starting to weigh on me a little bit. But other than that, Seneca's greatest teaching job I've ever had. And that's why if I had gotten involved with it many years ago, I would have never left. I would have been here forever and ever.
Well, it's great to see someone like you who's been teaching for so long to still have such a love for the art of instructing and to still want to show up every single day and teach a student and make their day, make them smile.
Well, not every single day. Has somebody said something about my schedule? No, not every day.
Well, what's next for you? What does the future of Brian Laski look like? Just stopping the flying. I've got so many hobbies at home. Picked up the guitar. I don't play the guitar. I play with the guitar. I'm going to be learning that till forever. Plastic models I'm still making. Photography. Playing with the computer. Sitting on the couch watching TV. I enjoy all of these things. And so that's probably what's traveling. Kathy she's got her hobby is cruising. And so she loves doing this. So we've got actually something planned in September. So I think, and I'll have no trouble doing it. None whatsoever. Flying doesn't define me. I've got all sorts of other things. It's something I have a passion for and I love doing it. So I don't know how far away that is. I have to see, but I enjoy doing it. I still do.
Well, thank you very much for coming on today. It was a pleasure to speak to you. I feel like I learned a lot myself as someone who's potentially pursuing this pathway. But it was a wonderful conversation, and thank you for coming out.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Well, to our viewers, thanks again for joining us. Episode 9 with Brian Laski. Wishing you blue skies and tailwinds ahead. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.